the hum of a flickering bulb, the metallic scent of blood, and the sound of a saw starting. In a forgotten corner of the city, a man named Ryan thought he'd found peace. A room, a door that locked, and a fragile sense of safety. But when the night filled with screams and the walls began to shake with the echoes of a movie that should have just been fiction, he realized that monsters don't wear masks. They live right next door. And in another town, years earlier, another man, desperate, hungry, alone, stepped through a stranger's door chasing a job. By the time that door locked behind him, it wasn't a home anymore. It was a maze of pain, and he was the next experiment. 2 stories, 2 men, one horrifying thread that binds them, the legacy of Saw made real, because in these places, the games aren't movies, they're nightmares. Before we begin, take a second. Look around your room, every sound, every shadow. Could you tell if someone was watching you right now? This isn't just another horror story. These are true Saw-inspired nightmares. Real men, real lives, real blood. Stick around to the end, because the second story might just change the way you look at safety forever. And if you're brave enough, hit subscribe. Join the dark side of reality. The hum of cheap fluorescent lights filled the hallway like a dying insect, the kind of sound that never truly stops, just lingers, like the smell of old smoke and despair. Ryan adjusted his hoodie, his breath fogging in the chill. He had been staying in this men's hostel for almost a year. Every night felt the same. Silence, then whispers, then silence again. 100 men, all broken in their own quiet ways, trying to piece together whatever remained of their lives. The air always smelled like bleach and loneliness. Ryan liked that it was quiet. No one asked about his leg, no one cared that he used to be a soldier. In a place like this, everyone had ghosts. His just walked beside him. Then, 2 weeks ago, a new tenant arrived. Big man, maybe in his 50s. He dragged in a boxy television and a stack of dusty DVDs. Every single one of them had the same title, Saw. At first, the others thought it was harmless. Just another strange guy in a long line of strange men. But Ryan noticed something in his eyes. A quiet fascination, too still to be sane. Each night, around midnight, the new tenant would sit in the dark common room, his face washed in the glow of flickering violence. The sound of screaming and sawing filled the walls. No one ever joined him. No one dared. Ryan tried to drown the noise out with music. He'd shove his earbuds in and stare at the ceiling until sleep finally dragged him down. But that night, the one that changed everything, the sound was too loud, too real. He pulled the earbuds out and realized the noise wasn't coming from the TV. It was muffled, from a room, from down the hall. Then came a scream, sharp, human, and close. Ryan froze, his heartbeat thudding like gunfire. His instincts kicked in. He ran toward the sound before his mind could say no. The door at the end of the hall belonged to Mark, his only friend here. It rattled with heavy impacts, then fell silent. Ryan slammed his shoulder into it once, twice, until the lock splintered. Inside, the air was thick, like metal and heat. Mark was on the floor, his eyes wide, his shirt torn. Over him stood the new guy, knife flashing in his trembling hand, whispering something under his breath. Ryan didn't think. He charged. The blade slashed through air, catching his jacket but missing flesh. He tackled the man to the ground, fists fueled by adrenaline and terror. But the man smiled, a crooked, wet grin that didn't belong on any living face. Ryan stumbled back. The man rose, blood dripping from his chin, the knife still clutched tight. He muttered, "You failed the test." His voice was calm, mechanical, rehearsed. Then he lunged. Ryan turned and ran. He didn't remember his leg hurting. He didn't remember breathing. He just knew he had to survive. He reached his room and slammed the door shut, locking it, dragging a chair against the handle. But it wasn't enough. The pounding began, rhythmic, relentless. Each hit split the wood a little more. Ryan's mind raced. Window. He grabbed his phone, shoved it in his pocket, and forced the old frame open. The glass scraped his arms, drawing blood, but he didn't stop. As he climbed out, the door finally gave way behind him. The man's growl echoed, low and primal. Ryan fell, hitting the ground hard, pain shooting through his bad leg. He looked up and saw the silhouette in the window above. He limped away, clutching his side, every step screaming agony. But the night was quiet again, too quiet. He reached the edge of the street, pulled out his phone, and dialed 911 with trembling fingers. By the time the police arrived, it was too late. Mark was gone. The killer was sitting calmly in the living room, the Saw 6 DVD still spinning. He didn't resist arrest. He just whispered, "Game over." Days passed, then weeks. The hostel emptied, one man after another. No one wanted to stay where blood had touched the floor. Ryan packed slowly, haunted by the smell that wouldn't leave his memory. He couldn't escape the echo, the scream, the pounding, the smile. He tried sleeping at shelters, on benches, anywhere that wasn't there, but in every place he swore he could hear the faint buzz of a saw. At night, he replayed everything. The knife, the door, the sound of tearing wood. His therapist called it trauma. Ryan called it unfinished business, because he still dreamed of that face, and in the dream, the man was free. Curiosity became obsession. Ryan started digging online, looking for old news, old cases. What he found twisted his stomach. A man named Matthew Tinling, dubbed the Sawiller, serving 2 life sentences. Same age, same look, same obsession, only difference. Tinling was in prison. So who had been in Ryan's hostel? A copycat? Or something worse? He went back once just to see. The building was boarded up, half burned from an electrical fire months after the murder. The smell of wet ash filled the air. But standing there, Ryan swore he saw movement behind the cracked glass. A flicker of light, a shape in the dark, and faintly, impossibly, the sound of a saw starting again. He backed away, pulse thundering until his heel hit the curb. The light blinked out. The silence swallowed him whole. That night he didn't go home. He couldn't. He sat at a diner until dawn, staring into cold coffee, trying to convince himself it wasn't real. But deep down, he knew. Monsters don't die in prisons. They spread from story to story, screen to screen, mind to mind, until someone new picks up the blade. Ryan doesn't watch horror anymore. He can't. Because whenever he hears that familiar whine of metal, he feels it, the pulse of memory, the taste of fear. He still dreams of that hostel, of Mark's door, of the man whispering, "You failed the test." And sometimes, in the dream, Ryan opens the door again. Only this time, it's not Mark screaming. It's him. The rain hadn't stopped for days. It turned the city into a reflection of itself, puddles swallowing the neon glow. Nathan trudged through it, shoes soaked, pockets empty, mind running out of options. He'd been sleeping under bridges, in parking garages, anywhere the cops didn't notice. Hunger clawed at his gut like an animal. Then fate, or something crueler, tossed him a flyer fluttering in the gutter. Help wanted. Live-in cleaner. Immediate start. The address was printed in thick black ink. He squinted, barely believing it. A job meant warmth, food, maybe even a chance to feel human again. By sunset, Nathan stood outside the house. 3 stories of brick and rot, blinds drawn tight, a single light flickering behind dusty curtains. He felt watched before he even knocked. The door opened before his knuckles hit the wood. A tall man stood there, gray suit, thin frame, eyes too wide to trust. "You must be here about the job," he said. Nathan nodded, hesitant. "Yes, sir." His voice cracked from the cold. The man smiled, not with warmth, but with the kind of amusement that comes from knowing something you don't. "Come in," the man said. You look tired. You'll have your own room, of course. We take good care of our help here." He stepped aside. The smell of dust and metal rushed out. Nathan crossed the threshold. The moment the door clicked shut behind him, the air changed. It felt heavier, like the walls were breathing. He told himself it was nerves, but deep down, he knew. The foyer was dim. Old portraits of men lined the walls, every one of them unsmiling, their eyes painted too lifelike. The floor creaked beneath Nathan's boots. Somewhere in the distance, something dripped. "Let me show you around," the man said. His shoes clicked with purpose. "This house is particular. It requires discipline, respect." His words hung like warnings. They passed through room after room, each darker than the last. Nathan noticed locks on the inside of doors, bolts that didn't make sense. In one hallway, he swore he heard chains dragging. "Strange sounds," the man said when Nathan looked back. "Old pipes. You'll get used to it." His grin didn't fade. Nathan forced a smile, pretending to believe. At the end of the tour, the man stopped at a narrow staircase. "Your quarters are down there." The basement door was steel, scratched. There were dents near the handle, like someone had tried to break out. Something in Nathan wanted to run, but the idea of another night hungry, another day invisible, chained him to that spot. "Thank you, sir," he muttered, and stepped down into the dark. The door shut behind him. Locks clicked, not one, but several. The echo rolled down the stairwell like thunder. Nathan froze halfway. "Sir?" No answer. He turned on his phone's flashlight. The beam revealed a concrete floor, a cot, and a table with old tools, saws, clamps, even something that looked like a harness. His stomach turned. He whispered to himself, "It's just storage." But when he saw the stains, dark, dry, human, the lie collapsed. He ran up the stairs and pounded on the door. "Hey! Let me out!" Silence. Then a voice crackled from a speaker hidden in the wall, the same calm tone as before. "The test begins, Nathan." The sound of gears turning followed. A metal panel slid open across the room. Inside it, a single note rested. His name was written in red ink. His hands trembled as he opened it. "Prove your worth. Survive your greed." He turned as the walls hissed, vents releasing gas that burned his throat. The only exit was now sealed. He covered his face and ran toward the far side, coughing hard. Through the haze, he saw movement, a shape hanging from the ceiling, a mannequin rigged with blades. When the gas stopped, a ticking began. Slow, deliberate, mechanical. He spotted the source. A timer bolted to the door, counting down from 60. Nathan scanned the room. On the table lay a small key embedded in wax, and beside it a knife. The message was clear: dig or die. Panic clawed his chest. He stabbed the wax, fingers shaking. The timer hit 30. Sweat poured down his face. The wax was thick, stubborn. The blade slipped, slicing his palm. 20 seconds. He screamed, prying the key free with blood-slick fingers. He stumbled to the door, shoved it into the lock. Nothing. It didn't fit. 5 seconds. He looked back and saw another lock under the table. He dove, jammed it in. Click. The timer stopped. Silence. Nathan collapsed, gasping. His vision blurred. But then the speaker crackled again. "Well done," the voice said. "You live. For now." The door slid open. He crawled out, shaking. The house above was silent. Too silent. He moved through the hallway, the portraits watching him again. One was missing. Footsteps echoed behind him. He turned. No one. Just a faint sound of gears grinding, something moving inside the walls. He ran. Every door he tried was locked. The house shifted around him, halls that twisted, rooms that weren't where they should be. Panic became his compass. He burst into a room that reeked of rot. In the corner, A man, slumped against the wall, wrists bound, eyes wide open, dead, the same gray suit as his captor. Nathan stepped closer, realization dawning, the voice, the tests. It wasn't one man, it was many. This was a house built to outlive its creators. The speaker hissed again. The next test begins now. The floor beneath him groaned, then the trap door opened, swallowing him whole. He landed hard in a pit filled with bones. His scream vanished into the dark. Above, the door sealed shut once more, the timer resetting. Outside, the rain kept falling. The flyer blew down the street again, sticking to a lamppost. Another man stopped to read it. Help wanted. Live-in cleaner. Immediate start. And somewhere deep inside the house, gears began to turn again. Game never over.